So it's my honor today to introduce to you Dr. and Dean Osterlund for an interview. And as we start this PhD, I got to tell you, it's hard to do without institutional support. And the institutional support we've gotten here at Regis has been unbelievable. So I just want to thank you for just helping get this program going and all the support. I want to ask you because you are someone who is in the mental health profession, got their PhD, counseling education and supervision. So as students are starting to think about becoming a counselor education from their mental health kind of practitioner background, I'm just curious around like what kind of advice you have for them.
I started out my career, I worked in community mental health, I worked in inpatient, I had private practice, so lots of different experience. And I found right away, as soon as I got licensed, that folks needed supervision. And I was interested in helping another generation of counselors in terms of supervising them. So that led me into a job where I was working. I was at the College of Santa Fe and I was supervising interns, doing group supervision through the suicide prevention project there. And I enjoyed those groups so much and supervising those students in the groups they were working with. I decided and was invited to teach their group class. And that was my first experience with teaching that just lit my fire with how I could really engage with students and helping them find their passion and to be the best counselor they can be. So after that, I was able to teach at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, and had an experience with teaching undergrad and grad classes in a K-12 program. And that got me interested in getting a PhD because I really imagined myself teaching a next generation of counselors. I see it as really expanding the ability to work with people. My deep desire to help another person in their deepest, most difficult times, being able to spread that ability to help other counselors grow in that way. Yeah. So when I found
Yeah.
Regis, I've been here and been with Regis for almost 20 years. And I love the Jesuit values that are exemplified in the education. A Jesuit education is really about care for the whole person and being able to uh, reach people on the margins and working for social justice. And we are going to be one of the first counselor education and supervision programs. I understand that is Jesuit. It is very distinct. And I love the interfaith aspect of that.
Yes.
I think it really is going to be something quite exciting for students.
Awesome. And that's kind of cool because you might have heard a little bit of the ring of the bells while we're doing this interview. We're doing it on main campus. And even though a lot of you will be doing this program virtually, we're going to maximize this whole institution delivering the education that you all deserve. So cool.
Very cool.
Um, my next question is, as someone that transitioned from being a practitioner to a faculty into an administrative role, we might have students that aspire to become a dean one day. I'm curious, like, how do you think the counseling education background prepared you to be a leader in higher education?
That's a really great question. I find I use the skills that I learned not only as a counselor and mental health, being able to listen, being able to understand systems, being able to see different points of view and value and validate different perspectives. Um, those were all part of my counselor training. And I think getting into counselor education and supervision really kicked it up a notch in terms of leadership skills. I did my dissertation on wisdom, and I find that wisdom traits are throughout my leadership, and I try to foster that in the relationships I have as a dean with really tough situations. And, you know, usually when something comes to the dean, it's gotten to be a, pretty difficult problem to solve. And so needing to be able to work with people, build relationships, solve problems, those are all things that I deploy on a daily basis.
Yeah. When it is on your desk, that's when it's really hard. Like
Yeah.
we pass up the things that are really hard.
Hmm.
So interesting to hear how, like, even when you're doing hard things, you lead with empathy, lead with like stepping into the other experience from that background.
Very much so. Yeah. And I was thinking about, this, how I became a dean and am a counselor, educator, and supervisor. And a few years back, there were a group of us that got together who were all deans, women, counselor educators who were across the nation. And we had started conversation talking about our experiences and what has really helped us in terms of our education and background, really adding to what we can provide as a dean, as a leader of a college.
And that'd be so cool if this program could help launch even more women and folks that aren't necessarily represented at the table at the table in the leadership positions.
Absolutely. Honestly, since Regis became a Hispanic serving institution, I think the opportunities are ripe for us to really support having a diverse workforce in this area, future leaders from multiple backgrounds.
So I kind of want to turn to role integration. And if you go back to your experience where they come off of being a practitioner, be engaging in therapy with folks, to then putting on the hat of counselor educator, what advice would you have in terms of balancing those roles, how they maybe fit, how they conflict? I mean, wisdom related to that.
So, honestly, I think that those roles inform each other. So as a counselor, I would take those conversations with colleagues like yourself and other faculty and learn from others who are practicing different theories, thinking about different ways of approaching interpersonal issues. And I felt like that really helped me as a more seasoned professional in mental health. And then as a counselor educator, using my experience with clients to really help students and be live in the classroom with these things that have informed my practice and really being able to teach from that perspective.
I don't know if you've experienced this, but I'm working with someone right now in the clinic who's starting their journey as a supervisor, and they're a great clinician. And then when they're like going to help counselors in training develop, those skills can go out the window where they're in advice mode rather than leaning on the skills that they've learned. So it is interesting where a lot of the skills you have as a professional counselor still play out in the role as a supervisor, but it's a reminder to still use those.
Exactly. I love being able to work with those students, especially at the practicum level, where they're just putting all of their knowledge and skills into action, working with clients for the first time. And it was a challenge to transition to just thinking about the clients to thinking about the newly developing counselor and their development and what they need to do, what they need to learn, um, and really nurturing their ability to be their best self as a counselor.
And we were talking earlier, I know you have a lot of humility, so I will brag on your behalf. But although you all are doing this virtually, you all are going to utilize our clinic as well. And our clinic is, I'm trying to remain humble here, but it's really special. It's really, really special. And it's in a part of the community where we're needed and we are making impact. And like, I think that might have even been before your dean, like helping launch that clinic. Um, Maybe talk to me about that, and also like how, your counselor education identity, the leadership skills, pulling all the levers, how you got that done.
Thanks for asking that. That is an amazing campus. The vision was to really be able to not only train future counselors, but serve the community with low and no cost counseling. And we were able to create a center that I think there's like 25 rooms. We can see couples, individuals, groups. We can see families. It's an international center for play therapy. All of those pieces really began to bloom when we built out that Thornton interprofessional campus. We've moved nursing skills lab there, being able to work with the nursing department. We have a partnership with Creighton University to offer occupational therapy doctorate, and that program is there. And the vision is to bring in physical therapy and eventually have a primary care clinic where folks can practice interprofessionally. We know that patient outcomes are influenced by the ability of folks to work together. I would say when you ask the question about how to pull those levers, is building relationships across professions, across disciplines, and being able to work with, for us, it was physical plant, a landlord, the president, the provost, really having everyone see this vision of how we can serve the community and make a difference in people's lives. And honestly, John, I'm so excited for how ripe we are for opportunities, for grants, for more research. We haven't really tapped into the potential that is there. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, just like the impact we can make. I'm like really kind of drawn to when you said it's about relationships. It seems so simple, but it's a reminder to me too, because like there are times when I just get I want this done now, right? And now I get to pick up off of the work you and others have created in our program, in our department, in our division. And it's just really good advice about relationships because many of these students might go to brand new programs and might have to advocate for a clinic or kind of what you helped build. So, kind of you're saying relationships.
Yeah, it is. And being bold and visioned. So have a vision and be bold about it. If especially if things are falling into place, there's momentum that you can gain, and just having confidence in what we're doing and being able to make a difference. I love the fact that we will be training future counselor educators that will go other places, and hopefully they are going to be manifesting Jesuit values, care for the whole person, working interprofessionally, um, and making a difference with people on the margins.
That's what I really hope our program does, what our students do, like what we're called to do is like stand with those on the margins. And hopefully like our program can have that impact.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of finish with this question. This is the first class that they're taking. Um, they're brand new to the program. What advice do you have for them to center themselves when it gets hard, when they're thinking about, I don't know about, I want to continue to do this? As someone who's done this, been the faculty, been the administrator, now the dean, what advice do you have?
So when I went into my program, I really went in eyes wide open, and I was looking for what would click for me. I listened in every class for what might spark me to want to go deeper into my development as a counselor educator, and what would then be something I would want to research that would really contribute to the field. And that it made me feel very engaged in all the topics of every class I took. I was listening, for those opportunities where things may need more research, and wisdom did pop up as traits. And it kind of dovetails with what advice I would give, because the traits are things like real world skills, problem solving, um, being able to have insight, seeing underlying, having a self reflective attitude. That to me is one of the biggest ones, to be able to learn from experiences and reflect on them, and be able to um, see different perspectives because of that. Um, Insight, I may have mentioned one of the things about insight is really being able to tap into deeper meanings and purpose and meaning in life. Um, and then concern for others is another one. One of my professors talked about sagacity, which is a form of deep listening and really trying to understand multiple perspectives, perspective taking, even. So I think those are all, people would ask me, like, are those skills you can develop, or aren't they just innate? And I think there are things we can develop and practice. I still work on those things.
Can you say that word again? Like
Sagacity.
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 Very cool.
It's sort of the root word sage.
Okay. And I think we're gonna do something with that word. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there's some other Jesuit words that you all are gonna learn along the way that help me, like indifference, like being able to really separate presupposition, like being able to like really assume good intentions. And
Sure.
hopefully we'll take that word and some of the other Jesuit words going.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Well, can't thank you enough for doing this. I wish we could just keep going and maybe we bring you back in
Absolutely.
another class. Thank you so much. And I really look forward to hearing kind of what you think or what you took away from this interview.